Good afternoon, traders, and welcome to this week's weekly market analysis class, Monday the 4th of June. Before we get started, as always, please understand that any advice in today's session is of a general nature only and that your personal circumstances have not been taken into consideration. Right, let me bring forward what's coming up. I apologize for my voice. I've got a little bit of a head cold today, so I'm actually struggling a little bit, but we shall soldier on. Let's see what the markets has in store for us. Well, first of all, if we recap last week, we saw the GBP continue its downturn. I think for the entire month of May, it was just one direction, with no correction whatsoever. Data just kept on disappointing. It was only at the final hurdle, the last bit of data for the week, that finally we got some positive PMI data from the UK, and we had a little bit of a pullback on the GBP USD. So we'll have a look at that when we look at our charts. That was from the GBP front, but all eyes was on the US dollar and particularly non-farm payrolls, and they were sensational, should I say, results in terms of data. Job numbers were impressive. The average hourly earnings were up. Everything was in the green zone. The headlines were reading lowest unemployment since 1969 or thereabouts. So it was all really, really positive data on the US front. It continues to gain momentum, and we need to see what will basically that bit of data that was so much in the positive now really sets the expectations for an interest rate rise next week for when the FOMC come together and make a decision for their June rates. So that yet needs to be seen what happens, and let's see how much the market starts to factor that into its pricing, and to see if perhaps we may get a little bit of a correction on the US side as the expectations start to reveal themselves as we get closer towards that date. If we focus our attention now towards this week, our own Aussie dollar is pretty much in the spotlight. We had retail sales already this morning, and they came in better than expected at 0.4%. We have the RBA rate statement tomorrow. The first Tuesday of the month is traditionally when the RBA makes its rate statement and interest rate decision. There is no expected movements on that front, but the statement is always key just to see what the RBA is thinking of in terms of our inflation, and the rest of the world, how many other countries are already in a cycle of tightening, and our housing prices is one thing that perhaps prevents us from that. So let's see if there's any light shed on that front. At the last time that they met, they weren't in any hurry, and basically they were just more cautious than aggressive. So that's what's going to be key tomorrow at 2:30 for the RBA statement. On Wednesday we have GDP numbers, and then finally on Thursday we have the trade balance for locally at 11:30. So Aussie dollar is pretty much in the spotlight this week. The other major currency to be highlighted is the Canadian dollar. We have the trade balance during midweek, and of course on Friday they have their unemployment change and the unemployment rate. So let's see what happens on that front. The third, I guess, most important for the week is GBP. We have construction PMI and services PMI. Construction is due out this evening at 6:30, and the services number is due out tomorrow evening at 6:30 p.m. And that pretty much wraps up the week of major highlights in terms of data that is to be released. I guess in terms of the data itself, the currency that's probably going to be under the spotlight the most and affected by data releases is going to be the Aussie CAD. So please take note, it's not a major, it would be considered a secondary, but nevertheless, because of the amount of Aussie and CAD data due out this week, it is the currency that will be the most affected by data releases. As always, guys, I've got the times that I'm showing you are in my local time, which is Australian Eastern Standard Time. So please take note and make sure that you don't get caught up in any trade that you don't want to be part of. Okay, all right, let me bring my charts forward and we shall begin our analysis. If you have any questions at any time, please post them up. I will do my best. I'm isolated at home today, but my voice is deteriorating, but let's see how we go. Okay, Aussie dollar. As we saw in the last 2 weeks, I was highlighting for us that I really wanted to see the Aussie dollar leave this area before I became interested in any kind of trade. It is now leaving that area. That candle is well outside of that zone. So what I naturally want to look at, okay, let me just get rid of this zone right now. But if we look at this from a far perspective, there's a couple of things that I can spot out. One is that the trend is down. Okay. Two, I want to highlight that level there where the market kicked off. So by extending over here, I'm definitely interested to see if a previous support will now act as a resistance level. So that's something that I'm interested in. And the third thing that I'd like to look at is if I just want to, I have the temptation to draw myself a line into this region here. When I do that, I find that at this particular point in time right now, we've got the 1, 2, and we are right here on a touch as we speak right now. So obviously, before I take any type of trade, like for example, if I was going to try and use that line to bounce downwards, I want to see some kind of confirmation help me out. The other thing that I need to point out is that I can possibly even move this line a little bit like this, and you can still see that if it allows me to get the market into that area there, and this is an area that I'm definitely very, very, very interested in. By moving the line as such, I'm still catching this point here, I'm still catching this point, and should this market come and meet me, well then this level here that I've highlighted meets many criteria. It meets this line, plus it meets that one. It makes it more interesting for me, and it increases the probability of trying to get a key point. So what I'm going to do is, let me zoom in a little bit, and I'm just going to mark that area for us by placing a little hot zone there. And what our intention is, I'm going to leave all these lines on my chart as they are, and I'm going to extend this one across as such. And let's see what happens in here. So in an ideal world, as I zoom in, what I would really like to see is something as follows. Let me show you. I would like to see today's candle even go up a little bit more, like this. Give me a bit of a something like that. And then tomorrow's candle, I would like to see it possibly just sit in there like that, so that the following day this would be an inside candle situation. You would get the fractal over here, and then on the break of that I would be able to hit it, and the whole thing happened in that key area that I'm interested in. Okay, I know I've just messed up the chart there, but does everybody get the picture? Questions being asked, is this a channel? I'm going to look at first glance. It does not look like a channel to me, but let me just check it. Look, it could. Let me just move this line out of the way. I could say it's a channel as well. In any case, whether it's a channel or not a channel, this point is still the relevant point that whether I caught it by channel or not channel, it's still the point that I'm very, very interested. Does everybody understand that? The most important part about price action trading and pattern trading is identifying the zone, the trigger point where you specifically you are looking for the correct candle formations. When I look at it as a channel, it doesn't look like the most classic channel. Look, an ideal channel will swing from side to side really nicely like that. This one is not quite doing it. So, but in any case, it doesn't really matter. So I'm going to get rid of it because I don't actually like the way it looks. I'm going to leave it out. And let me just put my other line back on. And I'm going to be flexible with my line. Remember, I could have all this, but I'm hoping that we can catch it right there on that hot region where I've marked. So my plan for the Aussie dollar is hopefully it comes into this area, gives us the price action that we want, and then it allows us an opportunity to short sell it. Okay, so pretty straightforward. That's our Aussie USD for this week. Euro USD. Okay, let's have a look. I've actually got an open trade on the Euro USD from the daily call. Now, we can see that this level has gone through, so it didn't really work out for us on that. So I can delete this line. But what I did, the trade that I did take with the daily call on the Euro USD was a fishing strip trade. And let me just change the template on the same chart and you'll see it straight away. So when I do that, there's excuse me, there's the template of the Euro USD with the fishing strip on it. And if I zoom in, we can clearly see that these two candles over here are the ones that meet the criteria. Okay, if you don't remember what the criteria is for the fishing strip, you can go into the CSC website, log in, and I think it's strategy 3 or 2, I can't remember which one, but it's one of those strategies, and it's all the complete details are in there. But in quick summary, essentially what you're looking for is you're looking for a candle that opens inside the Bollinger Bands and closes outside. So if you look at the red one, it opened inside and closed outside. And then you want the immediate candle afterwards to do the opposite, which opens outside, closes inside. So therefore these two trigger the trade. The trade starts at the open right there, and you're trading in this direction. So this trade is still currently open. And if you go on the site, you'll see that trade that I've got it marked as open. At the moment, it's up around about 27 pips. Let's see what happens. But the reason for that trade was a fishing strip method. It was not price action. Okay, so when I go back here, because I've got an open trade, I can leave it. If I'm looking for anything else, the other trade that I would be looking for is around about here somewhere. Let me just draw a hot zone. Say somewhere in here. If I was to get the market go into there and produce for me like a nice inside candle situation, well then at that point I would be interested in becoming a seller. Now straight away, can I just get a show of hands? Has anybody got an open position long on the Euro USD based off the daily call? If you have, can you just let me know? Who's got that trade open? The reason I bring it up is because when you trade different methods, you might come into contradiction with yourself. So for example, let's say the market kicks up to this level here, produces that little pattern that I've just drawn in there and triggers a trade in the other direction. Now, if you're long, you'll have a long and you'll get a trigger in the other direction. So if that ever happens to you, you need to write in your trading rules what action you will take when trading via two different methods when you have trades triggering in the opposite direction. If you have not addressed that, well, then you should address that, because you shouldn't come into conflict of mind when that happens. It should just be automatically look at your rules, and whatever your rules say, well, then that's what you should do. Okay, but analyzing the Euro USD based off this chart, ignoring the daily call, then this is the trade that I would look for. So I would wait for it to pull up a little bit more, roughly where I've got the hot zone. It could be higher up, but I'll start to look for it from that point. And should I get a price action reversal pattern, well, then I would be looking for the short trade as I'm showing you there. Okay, so that's my Euro USD for this week. Let's have a look at the US yen. Okay, US yen, we got stopped out last week. We took this trade. Well, I don't think anybody took it in the room. I'm the only one. I think I was the only one that took it. Essentially, this was a continuation in this direction. We triggered there, but I think I got in at about here because that's where we were when the class was on, and then it came down and stopped us out over there. That's unfortunate. Now, I noticed also that it produced another 2 sets of inside candles over here. Okay, and if you attempted the trade again, well, then you would have got an entry here, and you would be in this trade very, very close to the 1-to-1 level. So you may have hit the 1-to-1 or just shy of it. But looking at this now, for me, when I saw that, because I made lower lows, I didn't really feel that I wanted to take that trade. It didn't meet my criteria, so that's the reason I didn't post it on the daily call. All right, otherwise I would have. So on the daily call, I did not take that one, but I just wanted to point it out. Where it stands right now, look, my views on this one has not changed. I really want to wait till it gets up to that level before I look at anything as a sell on the US yen. So right now we're in a week that we just got to wait. So we're doing nothing for the US yen. US CAD, let's have a look. Oh, US CAD still, so it's nice looking channel up to this point, and then we're getting into a little bit of no activity. Let me just drop into a 4-hour chart. I want to see what it's looking like. Okay, US CAD, not much to say. It's a chart that I just do not want to touch. Okay, I'm going to leave this one alone. Nothing on my radar. Unless anybody else can signal something that I cannot see, the US CAD this week, we just leave it alone. It's just in no man's land. Okay, so I'll move on. I'll have a look at my GBP USD. Okay, we marked out this area down here where we thought we might have some kind of a reversal. It didn't quite happen for us. Okay, and look, it's gone through that line, so that line really has no play now. So let me get rid of it. The one down the bottom still does, so I'll leave it there. But it's making a little move, so the natural thing that we would expect here is perhaps to see it come up here somewhere, and then at that point, let's draw in a little hot zone. If it can produce the right candle pattern in here for us, then at that point we would be interested in continuing with the sell. Okay, this important to note that from the top there to the bottom here, it's nearly 1100 pips without really any retracement. Okay, it hasn't had any correction whatsoever. This is not common. Normally when we have such a large movement, you would have expected to maybe do a little bit of this a couple of times before it got down there, but there was none of this. There was none of the little retracements. So it was pretty much just one direction. So what we're looking for now is, let's see if it can pull back into this region here, get some price action, and then we would be interested in perhaps seeing if we can get any shorting opportunities out of it. Where it stands right now, I don't want to buy it, I don't want to sell it either. Okay, so but with such a big move, you can bet your bottom dollar that there's many people who have hang on to this position, who are in this trade. So there's a lot of interest. As soon as it starts to retrace, think of it this way. Let's just say you were a buyer at this point, okay? And not something that I don't do, but let's say that you've traded without a stop and you've just gone into pain, okay? Your account's going backwards. It starts to get some relief, and as soon as it gets to this area here, okay, and the reason I mark out this area is because if you look at the nature of these candles over here, they've got long wicks, which means before it went down, there was a battle. All right, a lot of people were thinking about buying, and the sellers and buyers and sellers. So there was a battle, and then finally it went down. Now, many of those are still in that trade. So when it starts to come back to that level, all that pain that they've gone through, what do they want to do? You know, if you've gone through a lot of pain and it comes back and you get an opportunity to get out at break even, what would you like to do? Question to you guys. What's our natural human instinct to do? Price action is a study of psychological behavior, guys. So if you've bought at this level, you've gone through this pain where you're negative lots and lots of dollars, you come back and you're close to an opportunity to break in even, your natural reaction is to, Alan, well done, exit. So if you're a buyer, how do we exit? We sell. So what's going to happen? There's going to be a natural force to bring this back down. Okay, this is why dips work. This is why trends move in dips as such. All right, so let's look for it. Let's see if we get an opportunity to get a little sell in there somewhere. That's our GBP USD for the week. Let's move along to the Kiwi dollar. Oh, the Kiwi dollar is set for a little bit of a sell after such a move, but the candle pattern's not quite right, and today's candle's looking quite strong, so we could push forward a little bit, something like that, and possibly get the opportunity in a couple of days' time. I'm just drawing what could happen as an example. So what we're looking for is we're looking for something there to drive it back down. Okay, we all good on that one? That's pretty straightforward. WTI oil. Okay, look, this is looking good. It's on our line. So we've got 1, 2, 3, and we are here on our line. So pretty straightforward. All we've got to look for now, let me zoom in, is we just want an inside. Well, actually, today's candle is lower. So if today's candle finishes here like that, it'll be set, and tomorrow we've got an opportunity to buy right there. Okay, and the reason would be we would be trading off those two candles as I'm showing you just there. So WTI is set. We just got to wait for today's candle to complete, and pretty much we may get the trigger tomorrow morning. So look out for that one. I'm just writing this one down on my notes. So when I look at my daily call, I can see it. WTI. Got it. All right, let's have a look at gold. Oh, gold. It's such a nice pattern that, you know, you get that congestion, you break down, comes back, tests the line out, and then continues to go. Unfortunately, I didn't get a single setup anywhere in there. Sometimes the frustration with price action trading is that it's a little bit overcautious, but many times it protects me from getting into trades that I don't really need to be in. So looking at this now, I kind of got to wait for it to break through before pulls back, and then that's the next opportunity if I was going to attempt trend trading based with the gold. So this week, unless it breaks through, we've got to wait for the breakthrough and then the pullback before we can look for the trade. Okay, last but not least, ASX 200. What do we got here? It's a very unconventional looking chart. I don't like this mess right here. Just drop a time frame. No, okay, I'm going to leave this one alone. I actually want to get out of that area. I'm just going to mark it. I wanted to leave or to leave before there's any decent opportunity. So I'm going to leave this one alone. Don't like it. Okay. Does anybody have any questions? I just want to cover one other chart. We triggered a trade this morning, the daily call. I think it was Aussie New Zealand. So let me show it to you. Let me just change the template. Okay, so the trade's pretty straightforward. We could see the moving averages, first of all, crossed over at this point over here. The chart's gone up, pulled back, gone up, pulled back, and it's given us a really nice inside candle. Okay, and so we triggered just there, and let me just measure where we are right now. So the stop's probably around about 65-ish, and right now the trade is about 30 odd pips forward. Anybody in that trade? Can I just get a show of hands? Who's on that one? Aussie New Zealand, sorry. Okay, Paul's on. Anybody else? If you didn't see it right now, it would be too late to get on it right now, because we've already seen this candle's had a good push forward already. So if I saw it right now for the first time, I wouldn't enter. Now it's already the move is on its way already. Okay. All right. Does anybody have any other questions before we wrap up? Aussie dollar. We're going to look for this double cross section for a setup. Euro USD, we are currently holding along based off the fishing strip, but if you're not on that, then we've got to wait to get into this hot region before we can look for a short. US yen, we're leaving. US CAD likewise. GBP USD, we want to pull back into somewhere into this region here, and let's see if we can get a trigger to continue the trend down. New Zealand US dollar, we didn't draw it in, but hopefully we can get something in there to short. WTI we're on right now. We need today's candle to finish, and if it finishes as an inside candle, then we got a trigger ready to go. Gold is nothing, and ASX is nothing for this week. So there you have it, guys. That's our analysis for this week. If no one has any questions, we'll wrap it up. I apologize for my voice today. I'm very, very congested. But that's one good thing about the markets. You can trade from anywhere, and it doesn't sleep 24 hours a day except Saturday, Sunday. So there you have it. If anybody has any questions, please email me. Send me a screenshot so that I can help you. Other than that, hope you all have a fantastic week. I'll talk to you tomorrow on the daily call. Thank you all for those wishes to get better. I hope I get better soon too. All right, guys, have a great week. Bye for now.